Hi there. In these uncertain times that we live in, I just wanted to encourage you with God's word this morning. I was reading Psalm 127. This is a psalm of Solomon. Solomon was known for royalty, richness, and awesome buildings. Because during the time of Solomon, he never went for a war. He never involved in anything else but building great buildings. He built palaces more than anything else. He was anointed to build the house of God, the temple in Jerusalem. During his time, this kingdom of Solomon was extended vastly to the north, to the south, to the east, to the west. And so he is known as a great king. And he himself learned a lot of things from God. And so his understanding about the reality of life is found in Psalm 127. This psalm will help you to realign yourself and focus on God in everything that happens all around you. Let me read for you. It says, "Unless the Lord builds the house, its builders labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchmen stand guard in vain. In vain you rise early and stay up late, toiling for food to eat. For he grants sleep to those who he loves." Let me stop right there in these first three verses in this Psalm 127. There's a lot of things about the mindset and the understanding of Solomon, the great king, can be learned. He says, unless the Lord builds, so God is in the building process, and he is in charge of anything that can be built. And so Solomon says, even though he was building the temple and the palaces, but he says, unless the Lord builds, nothing works. Everything else is vain. So it's not the workers who are willing to work so hard, but it is the Lord who is building behind the scene. It is the Lord who allows that building project to go on. And so the dependency of anything that can be improved completely depends on God. And he says in verse 1, unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchmen stand guard in vain. So Solomon was the king, and his capital city was Jerusalem, the city of David. And while he was building great big palaces and got rich with gold and silver and everything else, he says that it is not the guards that protect this awesome city. Because this city of Jerusalem is protected by God. Unless God watches over it, all these watchmen or the guards who are standing guarding the city is nothing. So it is not the workers, it is not the guards, it is God himself who is in charge. Whatever Solomon was allowed to do, it was done by God. The Lord builds, the Lord watches. And then in verse 2, he says, in vain you rise early and stay up late. He talks about long hours of work. There are people who are addicted to work. It is not wrong to work, but getting addicted to work is wrong because you sacrifice something else for the purpose of working and making money. And so there's a place for the time to work, but too much of anything is bad. So here is Solomon's advice. He says, in vain you rise early and stay up late, toiling for food to eat, for he grants sleep to those he loves. So it doesn't matter how much hard you work. There are people who say, hard work pays off. That's true, but not to the extent of overdoing. And here is Solomon's advice. Even though he was busy, he was so great in doing a lot of things in wisdom that he received from the Lord himself. He says, it doesn't matter how long hours that you work for. It is God who is willing to give you sleep, rest, and peace in your mind. So God is in charge of all of our lives. He's the one who builds, He's the one who watches over, He's the one who gives us rest and peace in our heart. So during this time of unrest and horrible situations that is going all around us, I pray that you focus your mind and your heart towards God, because Bible says, seek him while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. He is a good God, and he can give you the desire of your heart. And he cares for you, and he loves you. I pray that you rest and find peace in God, because he is a good God. God bless you today.